Hello and good morning. Thank you everybody for joining me this morning out of your busy schedules. This morning, first of all, my name is Liam O'Callaghan. I'm going to take you through some results from the latest global reviews data that we have on the UK customers' journey through the mortgage process on the websites of some of the main brands and also on their personal loans journeys. Some housekeeping is there is a facility to ask questions on GoToMeetings, so if you want to ask a question, just pop it in there, or you can send me an email at liam.o'callaghan@globalreviews.com, and if I don't get to it straight after the webinar, time allowing, then I'll reply to you personally. Let's get going. Just hopefully everyone can see my screen. Okay, so we'll take a quick look at the methodology that global reviews go through and where our numbers and where our insights are coming from. We'll look at some overall performance and where banking fits in comparison to insurance and other industries. And then we'll take a look at loans and some pains there, and we'll take a look at some mortgages and some pains there. But before I do, there was a quote recently from the RYANAIR CTO, John Hurley, on the Silicon Republic website, when he says that competition, the competition is Google and Amazon and not the other airlines that they compete against. Their competition is digital. I think this is a very, very interesting point because, look, your CX, your customer experience is being judged and expectations are being set by the experience customers are having across multiple digital assets and from every industry. So expectations are high because Amazon do a great job at personalization, PayPal do a great job at registration. So people are actually expecting the same or a similar experience from some banking customer, from their banking providers, but with the balance of getting enough information at the same time. So there's a pretty significant challenge there for all of us in making sure that we serve the customers in a way that will help us convert more through our online journeys. So the reason I suppose that we're all here today and the reasons that we do the roles that we do is obviously the importance of digital as a conversion tool for the companies that we work for. Conversion in the traditional sense would have been people walking into a branch, obviously opening up an account, taking out a loan, applying for a mortgage, etc. Even if people still do that today, the vast majority of their research is going to be done online. And the thing is, they can visit multiple sites at the same time. So they're just not visiting your site, they're visiting the sites of your competitors, and it's the site that actually gives them the information and stops them from leaving is the sites that are going to win the business. Okay, the slide that I've up at the moment is if you're encountering a problem on a website, what would you do? And this is from a sample of 31,500 people across Australia, Ireland, the UK, and the primary markets where global reviews work. We can see on the far right, leaving your website is at 16%. It's so easy for people to shop around now, then keeping them on the site is the biggest challenge. Okay, so we really want to stop losing the customers that you could and you should be converting. Once people are on your site, the marketing spend is gone. Marketing has done its job. They're on the site. Now it's about the user experience and the interaction you have with customers and helping them through the journey. We have some restrictions from regulatory bodies and so on, etc. But look, hopefully we'll take a look at that as we go through this webinar also. The rises in the last couple of years have been very much in web chat, become much more important. But where do you deploy web chat? At what point of the journey? What's intrusive? What's helping? You can also see from the figures here that help and FAQ is at 23%. People still will look for help. It's really important that you have contextual help, that you help them at the really important parts of the journey. It'd be terrible to lose them at the application stage because it's a clunky application form and so on. So we'll take a look at that as well later. So the ability for people to actually contact the company, look for help, use web chat are hugely, hugely important because people still do want to be helped. So I mentioned the journey that people visit several websites during the process of researching the product. This is an example from the most recent mortgage journey. So we set, in our methodology, we set up to 50 people on each individual site. So there are different people on each site, and they're set through our methodology, which I'll come to in a couple of seconds. But before they start searching, we would ask them what was their propensity to buy from this brand. And then after they've finished the journey, we ask them what would their propensity to buy from this brand be now. So you can see here from Nationwide, and I think in particular Barclays, that they've actually maybe not really trust them, or the brand isn't really doing its job at the start. But 26% more of the people who went through the journey on Barclays actually said, actually, I would consider actually purchasing from them now. So the digital journey, you know, the digital experience and the online journey can convert the undecided. But equally, it can turn away otherwise easy wins. So people who were fans of yours, like the brand, like the marketing, get on to the experience and they're just finding it difficult. They're not finding the products that match their needs. They can't decide between, or they're not being explained very well. So people will most likely leave and actually purchase somewhere else. So the digital journey, the importance of it cannot be underestimated. So let's take a quick look at the methodology through the global reviews process. So some of the key points here. We have in-market consumers. I mentioned the 50 people on each site that we put through the methodology. Hugely, hugely important. These people are in market. In the case of mortgages, they're in market to look for a mortgage in the next 90 days. Same with personal loans. They're in the market for a personal loan and will be applying for one in the next 90 days. So these people kind of know what they're looking for. They have a vested interest in where they actually go and what journeys they take. So we use some of the world's largest panel providers to provide people who are in market to go through the process. So it aligns to national averages, excludes people working in research and usability, etc. For certain clients, we do alter the sample to a certain geographic region. So if you're based in the north of England, for example, or if you're based in Ireland, we can actually skew the sample to that particular area and put people through that the process. So we capture during the process behavior, attitudes, and preferences for their experience. So that's probably better explained in a slide or two. So we have a deep understanding of the performance of your sales experience, and it's through the customer lens. So I'll keep harping back to that. This is really important. This is not Liam telling you these are the things to do. This is your ideal customer and why they would or would not buy from certain websites. So we take the in-market consumers, we match that up with our features and functions and our best practice audit, and we put them through a journey from initial engagement right to introducing options, facilitating decisions, etc. So these are actually hugely important. So it's does the website appear to meet my needs? What kind of product range is there? Is it well displayed? Can I find my way through the products? Can I evaluate between products? Facilitating decisions. Can I actually compare within your products versus your competitor products? Do you have external comparison on your site? And then we move, and that's pretty much all the consider phase, where people are actually doing that on every site. And then they're making the decision to buy. So we move over to the act phase, where we've got channel selection. So channel selection, is it an online purchase? Is it an offline? Are you explaining the benefits of why you want people to continue to the online application? Or do you want to promote the benefits of calling the call center or calling into a branch? And maybe it's a multiple approach. That's fine. Just explain the benefits of each and who it's best suited to. And then we have obviously the application form, if it's applicable. What's the online application form? Do you support it? And the total experience. So the inputs into each element of that journey are customer behavior, customer attitude, customer audit, and underpinned by the best practice audit by Global Reviews. The best practice audit is 400 to 500 data points, yes or no answers, that take subjectivity out of the equation. We run it on an annual basis in each industry that we work in. So this is probably the best hygiene test you'll get for your website. And we overlay that then with the real customers that we actually interview on a 6-monthly basis for this project. So from a customer behavior point of view, we set them tasks. So go find a specific product, here are your details, and we measure their efficiency or their effectiveness. Can they actually complete the task? Their efficiency, how quickly and how many clicks did it take them to complete the task? And then we measure their attitude afterwards, where we ask them questions on how was the experience, did it meet expectations, and we also capture the voice of the customer. So when we set an audit in customer audit, and we give them a scale of 1 to 10, tell us how the experience was. If they score 5 or less, we actually ask them for their comments on the experience of that particular part of the journey. So I'll share some of those verbatims with you in a second also. So we're looking at satisfaction expectations, and we're looking at then customer ratings on navigability and the look and feel and content of the site. We're not so much worried about the brand. People are only on your site, so we're actually taking price out of the equation. When people are on the website, it's through the process they go, and the price doesn't actually matter at this point. At the end of all of that, it does provide you with a final result, so your customer experience index score. The score at the end is probably the least important part of the whole journey. It's where you actually score at the points of initial engagement, facilitating decisions, evaluating options, channel selection, and application form is what's really, really important. So when you break it down, this is where you're leaking customers through the journey. So if you think of the customer journey as a funnel, and you put them in one end like water into a pipe, and you expect the water to come out the other side, it's to show you where the holes in the pipe are and where you're leaking customers. So the whole mantra for global reviews is to stop losing the customers that you could and you should be converting in the online journey. So let's take a look. Global Reviews works across multiple industries. We work across as I mentioned earlier, the UK and the Australian market and Irish markets mainly. We also benchmark brands within these studies from the US and from mainland Europe, depending on our customer base. When a customer or when a brand buys into the Global Reviews benchmark, we obviously put the 50 people through their site, through our methodology. They can also nominate 4 competitors that we're then obliged to put through the process also. So the brands that you'll see coming up are brands, some of them are clients and some of them are nominated brands. The industry performance across multiple industries is an interesting one, just to see where you actually stand. Sports betting is an industry, like it or not, that actually puts an awful lot of money into technology and into the customer experience. They develop everything mobile first, so they're actually quite advanced. And you can see from the scores, 69% in the UK, 64% in Australia. These are the highest scoring brands. So I haven't named the brands, but this was the highest score achieved in Q1 and Q2 benchmarks that Global Reviews have run. So we're looking at, I think it was Paddy Power leading the sports betting in the UK. Then if we go to life insurance in the UK, 59 is the top score, mortgages 58. So you can see the journeys are actually getting tighter and tighter, but then suddenly it drops down, and some things like personal loans is at 53. Personal loans is affected by the ability of some brands to be able to only provide loans to their own client base. So there is a slight skew in that. But having said that, the top score, in this case, I think we'll see it in a second, I think it was Nationwide. Their top score isn't affected by that skew because anyone can apply for a loan whether they're a customer of Nationwide or not. So if we look at those journeys, we can see that mortgages has a bit of work to do, loans has quite a lot of work to do, health insurance has even more, and motor insurance has even more to do. These are considered journeys. So these are journeys that people don't just buy in a whim. They do their research. You do have to apply a certain amount of regulatory information, and you do have to give a lot of information through the choice of products to your consumers. So it is a big challenge. So we're looking at anything below around 55% from our experience is failing the needs of the customer. So that's a sweeping average across all industries. So if you're failing if you're below 55%, so the personal loans industry in the UK is essentially as an industry failing. Mortgages, the top brands are just about, but the brands below that are not. So let's have a look at mortgages. The results for the Q1 study in the UK, we have Nationwide topping with 58%, Santander and HSBC tied at 55%. Then it seems to fall down drastically. So the top three brands are bringing up the average to 46, but in reality, most of the brands in the study are actually falling way behind. It is a difficult thing to get right, the mortgages journey. There's so much information and so much choice there. But Nationwide, Santander and HSBC are just about meeting customer expectations. So they've got room to improve. Everybody else has a lot of catch up. One of the big advantages of the Global Reviews program is we've got clients who wouldn't necessarily have the marketing or budgetary spend of the brands that you're seeing in front of you, but because we're benchmarking everybody, and it is a competitive benchmark, our clients see how they compete, how they score against their main competitors. So we can actually share the scores with the customers. We also provide quite a strong consultancy backup to the actual scores. We don't believe in the research just giving you these numbers because they don't really tell you anything. We do back this up with the real insights as to what made up these scores and how we actually achieved the end result and what you can do to plug the gaps and increase your score. The performance in loans in the most recent benchmark, again Nationwide are topping the poll but just about this time. HSBC and Hitachi are actually quite close to them. The Hitachi one, if we take the brand out of the equation and just look at the experience, they score quite well. Still failing the customers as an overall average because they're below 55%, but from a market perspective they're quite high. Some of the banks do suffer in the scores simply because you cannot apply and we cannot complete the process of people applying online if they're not a customer of that particular bank. But it was good to see from different parts of the journey. So you can see here that RBS were way down to 32%, or Bank of Scotland rather, but actually they lead the benchmark in evaluating options. So for their customers, they're actually they're portraying their options very well. So an interesting way of looking at it is not the overall score, it's actually how companies and brands performed best throughout the journey. So here you see the top performers and you see the bottom performers for each score. The application form, Bank of Scotland are showing a 0 there. There's probably a couple of others that are at 0 as well. But channel selection, like at 17% for Barclays, that's not really showing people the way to actually interact with them, whether they're a client or not. Facilitating decisions for Bank of Scotland, they're not giving people any choice of comparing their product really. If we look then at Nationwide, building a really strong initial engagement, because you can apply with Nationwide through the full journey, they're getting the start of the journey really, really strong because they're really pushing it. I can't say they're selling it per se, but they're actually providing really good guidance at the start for these are our personal loan options and here is how you can find an option that best suits you. So they're doing that really well. So overall, I'm just going to pick out a pain from loans and a pain from mortgages. So loans, sites do poorly at providing general information about loans. So we've got to put ourselves in the shoes of the customers. So why pick a personal loan? Why might someone choose a loan over an overdraft or extending a mortgage, or what would be more cost effective for them? Is a loan better than the one I already have or the one I'm thinking of getting? So if we look at the learning about personal loans option on the Global Review study, we can actually see that a lot of the brands score actually very lowly. Nationwide, as I mentioned, opening up very strong. Bank of Scotland really strong. Barclays not so bad, but everyone else pretty poor at pushing themselves at an early stage. I mentioned earlier during the process when we set people tasks on the Global Reviews program, we actually ask them for their comments as well. So the task in this particular study for loans was spend a few moments looking and absorbing the information you see on the website homepage. So we're doing that with loans in mind. So some of the information that comes back from people is like, found the screen busy, not sure where to look at first, so too much information. These comments, by the way, are from across a wide range of the brands that took place. So not telling you which ones, but they're across the whole range of brands. So it's truly awful information overload. Again, people packing too much information into the homepage and not segmenting it enough for their audience. People pushing technology. I don't see the relevance of Apple Pay when applying for a personal loan, so why does it have such prominence? I don't know either. And if you do, if the bank is going to push their technology and their Apple Pay, it is attracting a younger audience, and that's great, and should be pushed, but should come in at a point where it's actually relevant to that audience. That particular function is not necessarily going to appeal to everybody, so push it where it's appropriate. So page not inspiring, didn't seem geared to the average person. Too much focus with large graphics drawing you into the banking aspect. So there's a trade-off here between information and look and feel. Take one more. There's quite a lot of information on the homepage that distracts you. For instance, information relating to young savers and help getting a job could be better placed under a separate section. Again, it's relevant information in the relevant place that's helping the consumers to make choice, for them to actually be able to come back to the part to find the product that best suits their needs. So if we look at some good examples, Citigroup help users to understand the differences between overdrafts and loans. So personal loan, why, and then you've got increase in overdraft or apply for an overdraft and what the differences are. Halifax do it even better. Halifax addresses different needs on the homepage. So very often people will land on the landing page for loans, but other people from the actual brand homepage. So what you can borrow for, and then that links off to, what is it, home improvements, car loan, debt consolidation, etc. So all down the right hand side is the next page that pops up when you click what you can borrow for. Very simple, easy explanations, guided with iconography, and then click to read more. So you'll know what you want the money for, you go in and click. So now you're on the sales funnel, now you're down the journey for what exactly you're looking for. The Commonwealth Bank of Australia scores 94% for personal loans landing page, which is quite a phenomenal score. They do this not in not such a complicated way. It's actually quite simple. They have a summary for each loan on the page, including key features, benefits, but even if there's only one loan at this point, it should still be laid out in a way that gives the benefits to the customer. So we're really talking about benefits rather than products. We're looking for what meets the customer needs rather than actually what products we have to sell. Then there's links to more information and apply now for audiences at different stages of the funnel. And content to help you decide which loan is right for you. Okay, so it's a needs-based positioning. So people who are actually will know what they're looking for when it comes to a loan. You're making it easy, you're describing it for them, but you're speaking their language. It's not financial services speak. And when you're even in the calculator, so every part of the journey is actually part of the sales funnel, but it's actually giving people the information that's helping them make the right choice. So it's a guided choice. It's not about selling one particular product over another or not pushing one product to the client base. It's actually just giving them guided choice through your products, helping them to achieve the product that's right for them. Example here from Chase on the monthly calculator options. You put in the amount you want to borrow from. It gives you the APR and the term, and it gives you 3 different options here. And you can click the X on those boxes and get rid of that option if it's not for you. At the end, are you ready to buy a car? So they're actually looking to push particular different products, and apply now as well at the bottom. Constantly be helping the consumer to take the next step, but giving them really good guided choice as you speak, as you bring them through the process. So that's loans. Let's look at mortgages. And sites do really poorly at matching to needs. So mortgages, there's no site that really provides a tool to help users decide which mortgage might be right for their specific needs. It's very product-led industry. people putting out products without necessarily putting out why each product should be matching the need of a different set of customers. First-time buyers tends to get an awful lot of prominence for obvious reasons. They're the ones that you're going to have for the longest period of time. That's totally understandable. But you need to make it quite clear as to whether you're meeting the needs of the customers. So we set a task in the mortgage study, and it was to find the fixed rate mortgage for first-time buyers with the lowest AP or C rate while having no product fee. So something that should be very easily achievable across the board. The verbatims that came back of the people who actually struggled with it don't really understand all the information displayed on the website. So again, information overload, a lot of financial speak, keeping everyone in the regulatory controller happy, but not actually keeping the customers happy at all. So I found the options confusing. The initial rates were shown in numerical order, but these were not the rates for the rest of the term. And how long they were it was not easy to find. So lots of things going on there. Numerical table doesn't necessarily work. The rates were not for the full term, and the term rates weren't easy to find. So fed up with not being straightforward. So some people are just completely frustrated. Too many options to choose from. Again, product-led, not giving people an option to narrow their choice. The use of the term product fee is not clear, and this doesn't appear on the website. Valuation fee does. Is it the same thing? So a bit of help, contextual help here. What does product fee mean? What does valuation fee mean? Explain it to the customers. People who purchase a mortgage generally do once, twice, possibly 3 times in their lifetime. It's not something we're used to doing on a regular basis, but people who are actually selling them are obviously living and breathing the product. So it's the balance about giving the right information, helping customers to make the choice, but make the journey easy for them because, as mentioned earlier on, they're looking at several sites. They'll go to the site that's going to give them the most help. Okay, the answer to the task on one particular site was buried away in a PDF. Barclays have way too many mortgage options, so we know where that came from. And I think the mortgages should be ordered in terms of how good the deal is. And I think this is the real kicker. This is where we really need to get to. The mortgages should be ordered in terms of how good the deal is. It's how good the deal is for that person. So there's an unbelievable opportunity here within financial services to use a bit more personalization, a bit more remembering the customer and what they looked for before, and actually personalizing the journey to their individual needs. So for example, ING give direct users a good choice. So they're telling people buying a home, investing in a property, renovating, refinancing. So I want to pay off my loan as quickly as possible, or I want a simple no-fuss home loan. So they're actually going through the options. So you're helping the customer with a bit of guided choice, and the options will keep evolving to get to the right point for that particular customer. On the other hand, you've got Santander and Nationwide in this example, who actually, we're on the application form, but I could be on any application form. We've got to remember customers in a real-life scenario get distracted. Dog barking, baby crying, etc. They might be at work, a phone call comes in. Obviously, when applying for something as big as a mortgage, they know what they're doing, but they're not really being reminded here of exactly what they're doing. You're not reassuring the customer of what they're actually applying for and at what stage they're at, etc. So the stages are covered in the bars across the top, but you're not covering, it's an application form. It could really be for anything. On the other hand, Sainsbury's first page reassures users they're applying for the right loan. So it gives them the amount of the loan, how much each month, etc., etc. And the apply now is just before, or just below it rather. So you're reassuring the customer at every stage. Bankwest in Australia do exactly the same thing. Your Superstart home loan. So you know exactly at the top, exactly the loan that you're applying for. It's reassurance. I know it sounds quite trivial and possibly a bit too easy, but actually you can't be easy enough when it comes to reassuring the customer at every point. And you can also see from the orange question mark button here, contextual help, why you're asking for this piece of information and what you're actually looking for here. You really need to be speeding up the process of the application form no matter how long, and I know you need a lot of information, but actually helping the customer at each stage is of vital importance. It would be a real shame to lose them at this particular point of the journey. An interesting example, if someone wants to go and take a look at it, is VHI's new sales funnel. VHI is a health insurer in the Irish market. It's the incumbent one that was previously the state health insurer. They have a challenge whereby they're heavily regulated. They have around 80 to 90 products, but by putting in some contextual help at the start and a journey here whereby I'd like cover for myself only, I'm 35 years old, basic level of cover, it breaks it down to just 8 plans, and then you can say, show me the plans. So this is helping people help themselves. So if you want the digital experience to be truly successful, you help people to help themselves through the process. From a cost perspective on your side, it cuts down on calls to the call center, cuts down on probably visits to the branch for explanations, or I couldn't do it online because it was too complicated. If you're asking for people just to give me the information that you actually need and in a way that's easy for them to follow, then you can actually start narrowing the options for them. And if you're making it easy for them, they're much more likely to continue through the process and convert. So that was a brief look into the mortgages and loans studies that we currently do. Obviously, that's a very, very top level view. But our recommendations, just going through even those simple points, were consider guided choice methods, matching needs to products, but helping customers choose the products that you're selling that are more appropriate for them. And the chances that they'll have more success in applying for as well. Remember why customers are on this page and think like a customer. So why pick a personal loan? Why make someone choose a loan over an overdraft or extending a mortgage? Why it's most cost effective for them? Is the loan better than the one I have? So you're thinking about the benefits to the customer. So in today's webinar, you've basically seen a very high-level industry view and a glimpse at the depth and breadth of the Insights program provided by Global Reviews. Our subscribing clients, as I mentioned earlier, we put their brands through the benchmark, and our benchmark and our program basically is like a lost opportunity program. It starts off prior to people actually on the website. It's more of the effectiveness of your digital marketing, where it's blank screen, we set people off, go find a product in the industry, and then we put people on the website. So it's a full end-to-end customer journey to stop you losing the customers that you could and should be converting. We've got full research, it includes tailored analysis at a micro level. We have our own online portal that our customers have access to. We run the program twice a year and follow it up with insight activation workshops, but there's actually a whole optimization program around before we go into field, after we go into field, sharing with key stakeholders, helping to match our insights with your product roadmap. And that doesn't really matter about budgets. A lot of the insights and recommendations that the Global Reviews program actually is most valuable for is simple fixes, signposting, navigation, the language being used. And we also advise on a continuous basis through our client advisory team and help you across the full journey. Can be done on desktop as well as mobile. What you saw today is desktop journeys, but mobile obviously is possible also. And then we also, on top of do that, we do more custom projects. So projects that are more customizable to your requirements, whether that's just looking at FAQs, whether it's looking at your native app, whether it's looking at your post login, so the members area, customer area of the site, and the journeys that customers take there. So these journeys are fully covered by Global Reviews. So thank you very much for your time. I'm just going to check to see if there's any questions. I'll put you on pause just for 2 seconds. Okay, I just have time for one question. One question has come in as regards the frequency and the data runs and when they run. I mentioned earlier they're 6 monthly. Those particular ones come from the UK market, which ran in April. The Irish market will be running in the next couple of months. We also are combining, not combining, we're actually, the program is extending actually quite a bit. The full banking program, last 2-3 years ago, we were running 2 or 3 products in banking. Now we're actually running around 8 to 10 products across the full banking range. So it's not just mortgages and home loans, it's investments, home insurance, pensions, etc. So we're actually looking at a program that starts before the customer actually visits the site. We're looking at people who are actually in the market in general, blank screen study, where did they go, what sites, who's winning the customers at a marketing level, but then they get to the site and then we actually go through the process from start to finish in the process that you saw today. So it's very much like a lost opportunity score at the end, because people are visiting your sites. The numbers and the analytics are fine. It's just a case of actually converting those start to finish and converting the customers that you should be winning. So thank you very much for attending this morning. I appreciate your time. I know we're all very busy. Any questions, please follow up. My email address is on the screen. Happy to take any questions from any of you later on this morning or later today. Thank you very much.